Hello, Aries risings. Welcome to our monthly zodiac reading for the month of September. Yes, September 2025. It's going by so fast and I can't keep up, y'all. I'm serious. But September 2025. We are stepping into eclipse season this month, so that will be the prominent areas that we will focus on. But truthfully, unless you have prominent placements within around mutable signs, or your north or your south node are actually hitting the nodal axis that we are in this time, the eclipses can show up for you, but you may not feel them at all. So just take eclipse season as it rolls, like roll with the punches, let it just, I keep imagining like a flowing river across pebbles, like just go with it, let it roll, and just don't try to, again, unless you have prominent placements within around mutable signs, which is going to be Sagittarius, Virgo, Gemini, and Pisces, unless you have mutable placements, the chances of you feeling this eclipse intensely are probably a lot less than others. So please just keep that in mind when you are listening to things around eclipse season. We are going to get an overall energy theme for the month for you guys. We will pour tarot for each week, clarify that with more tarot, as well as correlate those messages to the astrological transits occurring during that week and where they will impact you, specifically Aries rising. And then we will wrap it up with some additional oracle guidance. I will try to keep it as sweet and as simple as I can, but I make no guarantees, and my deck is upside down. I make no guarantees. For the month of September 2025. You and your loved ones are safe. New moon in Cancer. We don't really have any Cancer energy taking place during this time, but it could be that with the eclipse happening on the 7th, hitting your 12th house, this is your house of the subconscious. This is your house of like fears, isolation, mental health. This is a very tricky house. It's a very complicated house. And it's a very karmic house. It can bring up a lot of things from underneath the depths of the subconscious that might instigate a semblance of fear, worry, or anxiety. So if that's the case, just know that you and your loved ones are safe. You are safe to move forward. You are safe to make the choices that you know are right for you and your family. Let's see what the tarot has to say. And with the full moon, lunar eclipse, full moons are like a point of culmination or a sense of completion in a way. Hitting that 12th house of endings, it could be that this full moon lunar eclipse is going to bring about a sense of finality, maybe to fears or to past karmic cycles that you may have been trying to work through. Here in the first week, the 8 of Pentacles, very nice. Here in the second week, the 2 of Pentacles. Here in the third week, the 6 of Swords, lovely. And the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so definitely a lot around the tangible world, maybe around your career, finances. There could be karmic things that you've been trying to work through as far as how you associate with money and stability and security within not only finances, but your career and even relationships and even your physical health. Because Pentacles represents the tangible world. It's associated with the earth signs, which represents our physical reality. Here in the first week, we have the 8 of Pentacles. This is about refinement and working tirelessly to kind of perfect something. This is the entrepreneur card. And this is also associated with Virgo energy, which is where the South Node is currently sitting. But this is about toiling away, really trying to perfect and to master and to refine something. Here in this first week, Saturn will be retrograding back into Pisces. It has been sitting in your sign for a little while now, even during its retrograde, but it will be retrograding back into Pisces. So that's also going to be hitting your 12th house when it does that. And it will be sitting at the 0 degree, and then it'll ultimately move on to the 29th degree, which is what they call a critical degree. But that degree itself also represents endings. So keep that in mind. When this energy kind of comes around, it could mean that Saturn revisiting this particular house, your 12th house of the subconscious, it could be, again, dragging some of that stuff up to ensure that you are putting in the work that you have intended to put in to address certain things. This is also the week that Mercury, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, is moving into the sign of Virgo, which sits in your 6th house. Mercury moving into Virgo, you guys could feel a nice, you actually could, it almost feels like clarity and a lot of focus around your 6th house, which is your house of health and work habits, your house of day-to-day routines. And like I said, this is Virgo energy here. So it could be that there's a lot of focus and you guys are working very diligently and in a very focused and organized way to kind of perfect something and try to build something new. On the 6th, Uranus is going to go retrograde at the 1st degree in Gemini. This is an Aries degree. So this has a lot to do about, who we are, right? But Uranus and Gemini, Uranus is much more of a generational planet. So we're probably going to see this unfold more on a collective scale versus an individual one. But Gemini does govern your 3rd house. So it could mean that there could be this sudden shift of maybe reevaluating any sort of new or innovative ideas that you've recently been working on. Like reevaluating them, going over those fine details to make sure that this is actually, before you put in the very, very hard work, the nitty gritty hard work, that it actually is going to turn out the way that you're hoping it'll turn out. Here in the 2nd week, we have the 2 of Pentacles. This is known as the juggler of the tarot. You've got a lot on your plate, and this is probably about making a choice. You're trying to find that balance. What is my priority at this time? What are my priorities? Again, this is the week that we will experience a full moon lunar eclipse within the sign of Pisces at 15 degrees. Full moons, like I said, are a buildup of energy, but the eclipse is going to kind of like compound that and accentuate that. And this is not a full moon. We do not want to make moon water. We do not want to charge our crystals. We do not want to do any sort of manifestation or spell work, because the energy itself can be very chaotic and almost, I don't want to say unstable, but very unpredictable. Okay, so this is one of those months where we don't want to focus on manifesting. We don't want to focus on really doing anything. We are at the mercy of the universe at this time, and we really need to just ride this wave to see how everything unfolds. For you guys, you're trying to maybe balance a lot of things here. You've got a lot on your plate, clearly, with the 8 of Pentacles. You're refining things. You're trying to master something. You're trying to balance all of these things to ensure that they stay in harmony. And right now, the 2 is direct, which means that you're balancing them well. On the 13th, we will have a Sun-Mercury cazimi within the sign of Virgo. A cazimi just simply means that the sun's light is amplifying these mercurial traits. So it could be a sense of heightened focus on that day for you guys. Like I said, specifically around your day-to-day routines, health, maybe truth. Truth is being revealed around your health. Maybe you're having to balance more of your health, your mental, your physical health, as well as work, more so than maybe you have in the past. Here in this in the 6th week, in the 3rd week, we have the 6 of Swords. This is mentally moving on to calmer, safer waters. This is moving away from something. It's almost like the mind has kind of come to this understanding, and it feels quite like acceptance. And you're like, now I can move on. I need to move on from this. This is the week that we have Mercury moving into the sign of Libra. So Mercury, again, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, is moving into the sign of Libra. Libra sits in your 7th house of business partnerships, interpersonal relationships, and romantic marriage contracts even. So it could be that maybe there's communication if you've been seeing someone, or if you're in a relationship, like, look, this isn't working. Maybe the Kazemi, you end up revealing that truth, and by the time Mercury moves into your 7th house, you're ready to move on from it. On the 19th, Venus is moving into Virgo. Venus is not at her best in Virgo. She actually, she's in her detriment here, which means she doesn't feel herself. She feels very awkward. She doesn't feel very comfortable here, and it makes it harder for her to express her energy and her traits in this particular sign, simply just because Virgo is very earthy, and it's focused on the finer details, and that's not really Venus's thing. She's more of the artist. She's flowy, she moves and she sways, and she's beauty and love and joy and dance and music. She's all of these things. And so she doesn't quite do well. Virgo is a little bit too stifling for her. But when it comes to Venus and Virgo, the beauty of that is that people with Venus and Virgo tend to be very particular about what it is that they value, right? So Venus moving into Virgo, you could find that your day-to-day routines, there's a lot of self-love maybe incorporated into those day-to-day routines. Could be that you're just really focusing on what it is that you value, and maybe leaving behind the things that aren't as important. Remember, because the week before we were discussing priorities. What are your priorities? And then moving into that next week, you could really be feeling like, you know what? This right here can be left on the back burner. I can put a pin in this for right now, and I can move on to something. I can really focus on the things that I value. On the 21st, so we have a lot of energy here. Most of the astrology is like compacted and compounded in these first 3 weeks. Okay. The 4th week itself looks like a new beginning, which is absolutely lovely, but it's mostly compounded here. So I just want to make that clear that there's not a lot happening in this 4th week. And we can look at this 4th week as if it's the reprieve from everything that you've just dealt with. On the 21st, we experience a new moon solar eclipse. This is a partial eclipse within the sign of Virgo. This is the 2nd new moon in Virgo that we have experienced. We experienced the first new moon in Virgo back in August, and that happened at the 0 degree. This new moon in Virgo is happening at the 29th degree, which again, like I said, is a karmic degree. It's endings. You are finally putting something to rest, maybe when it comes to a project, maybe when it comes to something that you are working on in your day-to-day life, maybe leaving behind stress. Virgo has the tendency, when we're looking at the South Node, Virgo has the tendency to overthink, to focus too much on perfectionism, to be too critical of themselves and others. So it could be that with your day-to-day, if you're working on something, if you're trying to build something, trying to master something, it could be that you're focusing maybe a little too much on perfection, being maybe a little too critical of yourself or your others, and you're finally maybe realizing that that's not something that you need to focus on right now, and moving and choosing to move away from that mentally. On the 22nd, Mars is moving into Scorpio. Scorpio is one of Mars's traditional home signs, so he's very comfortable here. Scorpio is very depth driven. So Mars moving into Scorpio means that Scorpio can become very passionate, maybe even a little possessive, and the traits of power and control might be a little bit more heightened than they normally would. So just be mindful of that. Scorpio for you guys sits in your 8th house. This is your house of transformation. Maybe it could be with Mars moving into your 8th house, you're a little driven, like something needs to transform, like almost like, I just like imagine somebody taking off a coat. Sorry, I just hit the microphone, but somebody taking off a coat, kind of like shedding a skin. It could be that you're really driven to shed something, to let go of something, and to really just focus on a sense of transformation and shifting things around. Last and final, we have Libra season starting on the 22nd. This is also when we will experience the fall equinox. Again, anytime we shift into a new season, the themes and qualities of that sign tend to take center stage because the sun is there. The sun is highlighting those things. So with Libra, it is balance, harmony, social justice, fairness. It is also about relationships, like finding balance within your relationships, maybe feeling a little bit more social. When we tend to see a lot of like fall fairs and fall get-togethers and fall festivals tend to come up at this time, and we have an opportunity to be a little bit more social and kind of celebrate the fall with friends and other people that we care about. Here in the last week, you have the Ace of Pentacles. This is the Ace of Aces. This is a new beginning and a new opportunity for something tangible. Could be a new career opportunity. Could be that maybe you choose to start a new project at this time. Maybe there's just this new sense of stability and structure within your life. Let's see. We're going traditional with the tarot this month. We're going traditional. The Golden Art Nouveau, it's probably my favorite depiction of the Rider-Waite. Not that I don't love you. I say to my traditional deck. But I love the artistry. I like the detail in this deck. But it also maintains the traditional pictures. And I like that. Here in the first week, the Eight of Pentacles, the King of Swords, and the Two of Cups. Okay. So if you have been seeing someone, it could be that you're choosing to focus more on entrepreneurial things. Maybe you're choosing to focus more on just your health and your work habits. Like I said, Mercury is moving into Virgo. And so your sixth house, especially with the new moon, especially with it being eclipse season, your sixth house is being activated heavily along with your 12th house. Okay. So it could be that like you're focusing and you're trying to harness this energy and really put it into your work. Maybe you're trying to really refine and work on things. If you are in a connection, in a relationship, it could be that like you tried to work on this connection, but you recognize that this person, this King of Swords in reverse energy, is not who he claims to be. Maybe his words and his actions do not align. And you recognize that the individual is just, it's not a good partnership for you. Okay? Because we have the Two of Cups in reverse. The Two of Cups in reverse can represent that this connection is not in alignment. It's not in alignment with what you're working towards, and it's not in alignment maybe with what you're looking as far as long term. So you're choosing maybe to focus more on your career, choosing more to focus on your health, and to focus more on maybe other relationships at this time. If you feel that does not apply to you, it could be that you're choosing to focus, like I said, quite a bit on your health and work and habits, things like that. But be mindful with the King of Swords in reverse that you working tirelessly towards perfecting something can knock you out of alignment with what it is that your heart is actually wanting. The Two of Cups in reverse can represent that the heart and mind are out of alignment. And with the King of Swords here in reverse as well, he's overthinking, he's overanalyzing, which are also Virgo traits. So just be mindful that when it comes to what it is that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, don't overthink it. Make sure that your choices and your actions are aligning with what it is that you're actually trying to build. Okay? Like I said, Virgo can kind of focus and zone in almost to a detriment, be a little too focused on the details, be a little too focused on perfection, and be a little too critical of themselves, which can cause a lot of overthinking and overanalyzing, and it can knock you out of alignment, right? You're, like I said, the heart and the mind are no longer in alignment. So just be mindful here in this first week that any actions that you're taking are in alignment with what your heart is saying as well. Here in the second week, the Two of Pentacles, balancing and making a choice. The Eight of Swords in reverse. And the Two of Swords. So you've got a lot of twos here. A lot of twos. You're going to have to make a choice. Okay? Again, if for those of you who are in a connection, who are dating someone, seeing someone, it could be that the choice that you're having to make, like it could be that you're still trying to work on a connection, even though maybe you really truly think this person is not the right partnership for you, but you're still trying to balance it. You're like, I'm trying to do both of these things. And with the Eight of Swords in reverse, along with the Two of Swords, you're really needing to make a decision. You know that you need to make a decision in order to free yourself. You're doing good at balancing, but you may not necessarily have the freedom that you're needing. And as a result, you're trying to avoid making a choice potentially, because the Two of Swords, the swords are crossed across the chest, across the heart center. They're not wanting to make a choice because that choice themselves, it makes them uncomfortable. I don't want to have to make this choice. But if that's the case, how are you ever going to free yourself? You know that this choice needs to be made. Clearly it's here. It's here as well. These twos, the twos are about choice. They're about balance, harmony, relationships. You're needing to make a choice. And I think you know deep down what choice needs to be made in order to really restore that balance and in order to really free you from any sort of, almost feels like worry and concern is what that feels like. Is that what that Eight of Swords feels like? It's not necessarily, I don't think it's a limiting belief. It feels more like worry and concern. Like I'm ready, like really needing to free yourself from that. Here in the third week, the Six of Swords, moving on, the Knight of Pentacles, and the King of Wands in reverse. And I just recognized I didn't touch it. If you're not in a relationship, this Two of Pentacles is like you're doing a really good job balancing all of the things, relationships, career, your self-development, your health, you know, your day-to-day routines. You've kind of got that in a good flow and a good rhythm. You've got a lot on your plate, but there's something that you're needing to, like, even though you're able to balance it, it almost feels constricting. Okay? It almost feels constricting. And the Eight of Swords, when it's in reverse, it can represent releasing yourself from these limiting beliefs, which could be what's happening. But that Two of Swords there is saying there's still a decision that you're avoiding making. There's still a decision that you're avoiding making. So even though everything seems to be in order, life is moving smoothly, this solar or the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces is bringing up something that maybe you don't want to have to address, especially with it hitting your 12th house of subconscious. There's a decision that you're trying to avoid. There's something that you're not wanting to address. And if you avoid it, the universe is going to force you to face it. That's what eclipse season does. Eclipse season is like your cosmic chiropractor. It's going to force you to face it one way or another. So you can either do it yourself or have the universe do it for you. And either is not very comfortable, I promise. But there's something that you're avoiding. And like I said, the Eight of Swords, it can be releasing yourself from this limiting belief, but it can also represent being overly critical. Like you're still overthinking, maybe being too critical of those around you. All right, so just be mindful of that here in this second week. Take some time Take some time to yourself. Free yourself of any obligation that is not necessary and does not have to be done this second week, and allow yourself to see what this eclipse brings up. Because it's something within your 12th house, something that maybe makes you feel like you have to hold on in order to maintain a sense of security and safety. Here in the third week, the Six of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the King of Wands in reverse. The Six of Swords, like you're moving on to something mentally. Mentally, you're moving away from something. If you're in a connection and you're like, and it could be that you're immediately thinking, this person is not for me. I know they're not for me. But there's something itching at you to just keep giving it a try. Maybe not be too critical of the other person. And a fear of opening up. A fear of opening up and allowing you to put those swords down. Put that guard down, so to speak. It could be that maybe you choose to move forward and just take things very, very slow. And make sure that you stand true to your convictions. Okay? Stand true to those convictions with the King of Wands in reverse. Yes, you're tired. You're exhausted. Maybe even a little frustrated with things. But mentally, it's time to move forward. I'm trying to see what other messages come up. When you move forward, just make sure that you take things slow. This is a message for whether you're in a connection or not. Take things slow. Take it one step at a time. So that way you don't burn yourself out. Okay, you cannot keep burning the candle at both ends and expect something that you create, whether that's a relationship, a career opportunity, a new business, a creative aspect. You can't keep burning the candle at both ends and expect it to turn out the way you want. That's how we become misaligned, because we're just exerting so much energy all at once. Can't do that. Okay. For some of you, it could be that you choose to walk away from a connection, or maybe not necessarily walk away, but tell the other person, look, I don't want to rush things. I want to take things very, very slowly. Very slowly with the Knight of Pentacles. And maybe it upsets them. Maybe they get a little fiery. And if that's the case, then follow your gut. Here in the fourth week, the Ace of Pentacles. I like this because towards the end of the month, after these eclipses, this feels like a fresh start. It almost, like I said, it feels like a reprieve. The Ace of Pentacles, the Lovers. This could be an opportunity to create a solid foundation, especially now that you've shifted into Libra season. And with Mercury being in Libra, communication, healthy communication amongst your relationships, and allowing yourself to let go and heal any sort of disappointment. I feel like this really could go any way because this is a collective reading. I don't want to just narrow it down for one group of people. For some people, you're going to communicate exactly how you feel to another person and they're not going to like it. But even though they don't like it, it actually provides an opportunity to create a more stable connection, which can allow people to let go, allow them to heal, allow you to heal. Okay, maybe this is why you and your loved ones are safe. It's okay for you to put your guard down. You and your loved ones are safe. Say what needs to be said. Learn how to communicate effectively, clearly, and directly, because you're not responsible for how other people react to your truth. But when we speak our truth, we actually create a deeper connection and even a healthier state of intimacy between us and others. Okay, this doesn't even have to apply to a romantic connection. It can simply apply to a parent, a sibling, a friend. Okay, so for some of you, maybe you're going to choose to actually put your guard down and open yourself up to a potential new connection, and give this person a chance, because people can grow and evolve. People don't know what they don't know. And that's why it's your job to tell them what you need and what you expect from a connection. But also at the same time, some of you are going to choose, I think, to walk away. And it's going to create an opportunity to create, it's still creating a deeper foundation and a deeper connection and even intimacy with yourself, and allow you to heal from disappointment. Yeah. Oh. That kind of, and I'm surprised that with all the twos and even heading into Libra season, I really do think that this has a lot to do with either a relationship or a connection. It doesn't have to necessarily be a long-term committed relationship. Maybe somebody new that has entered the picture. But ultimately, I feel like this is focused around some sort of relationship with all of these twos. And like I said, heading into Libra season, I think relationships are on the table. And it could be that it's, saying like you need to build a deeper relationship with yourself for some of you. I don't necessarily feel like that's true, but it could apply to some of you. Looking here at the third week, the Six of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the King of Wands in reverse. If you don't want to get frustrated and irritated at other people, you either need to let things go and take it one step at a time, and just be more intentional with the choices that you're making so that you don't burn out and get frustrated. But I do feel like this is an opportunity for you guys to open up, because the South Node in Virgo is focused too much on perfection. Too much on perfection, and can be overly critical with others. Those are the things that the South Node is trying to get us to move away from. And with the North Node being in Pisces, it's trying to get you to open up to possibility. Not everybody is perfect. Not every relationship, no relationship is ever going to be perfect, and you're never going to find somebody who's going to be able to read your mind 100%. That's where the Lovers comes in, because the Lovers is communication. A healthy relationship, an equal partnership, is based on healthy communication. And if you're not saying what needs to be said, then your partner can't know what needs to be changed or what you expect from them. And then that leaves you feeling frustrated and resentful, if that makes sense. Boss up. Focusing on, I think that's a good pairing for this first week with the Eight of Pentacles. Don't overthink what you're trying to work on. Just try to focus on it as much as you can, and don't overthink it, and don't make sure that the choices that you're making are in alignment with your values. Like I said, the mind and the heart, they need to be aligned. Okay? But we have boss up here. Doing things in a way, makes you the CEO of your own life. If something isn't working, like if something's not working in your life, what would the CEO of a Fortune 500 company do with that? Probably make some cuts. That's not working. Numbers are down. It hasn't been working and we're running out of ideas. It's time to maybe cut our losses. Do I necessarily think that that's the case here? No, I don't. But that's just the example that I chose to use. But when we boss up and do what needs to be done. Don't overthink it. See it clearly. Don't overanalyze it. Remember why you started building whatever this is in the first place. Why did you start your health routine? Why did you entertain a new relationship? Why did you want to start a new project? Why did you get into the career that you decided to get into? Right? What are your work habits and why do you work the way you work? Do you work that way because you feel like that's what expected of you, or do you just feel good about yourself because you've got a solid work ethic? Okay? These are all things that could be coming up for you here in this first week. So you want to boss up and do what's necessary. And if that means cutting ties with certain people and cutting your losses, then that's what it means. Here in the second week, murky waters, uncertainty. Like I said, there's something that you're avoiding. And this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 12th house, the house of the subconscious, is probably going to bring that to light. And you're going to have to figure out, how can I free myself from this while maintaining balance? How can I free myself from this while maintaining balance? And there's some uncertainty there with this murky waters card. There's uncertainty. Here with the Two of Swords, she's blindfolded. She's cutting off one of her senses. She can't see the path and she doesn't want to see the path, but her heart knows the path. Her gut knows the path. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your intuition and make sure that you're emotionally regulated. The water in the background is nice and calm. They still got some waves to it. It's still blowing. The wind is still trying to move you forward, but it's not overtaking the ground that she's sitting on. Don't let your emotions overtake you. Think as clearly as you can and try to figure out what it is that you actually need to do and potentially what it is that you need to let go of. Claim your energy. Make the choice. Again, another 2 here. There's a lot of 2s in this month. Balance, relationships, harmony, and choices. The choices you make create the harmony within your life. The choices that you make create the steadiness within the relationships. And if that relationship, if you communicate what you need to communicate and that person does not follow suit or respect those boundaries, then that shows you that shows you exactly what it is that you need to see. But don't claim your energy to the point, and you don't need to allow yourself to become overwhelmed, burdened, and frustrated. Like what can happen here with the King of Wands. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling very, very tired, which the King of Wands can be, take it one thing at a time, one step at a time. All right? Here in the last week, updates to the system. You're being provided an opportunity to love yourself more, to step into a place of vulnerability, and to let go and heal past disappointments, to heal past hurts, and to let go of these past regrets. You're being given an opportunity to build something very tangible, potentially between you and another person. But that's going to require a sense of steady communication and truth. Okay? And this is, like I said, updates to the system. What's happening now, what's happening during eclipse season is for your highest good. It's meant to get you back on track and it's meant to realign you. Okay? So I truly hope this helped. I hope you guys have an incredible month, and we will see you next time.